Hey everybody, I'm Eric in Exile. Today I want to talk about my gaming setup, the equipment that I'm using for it, and also the current game systems that are in my rotation. Let's do it! So here's my current gaming setup. I've got everything on a Z-line stand, which is an open stand, so all the heat that the consoles are generating will just evaporate out with no issue. I'm using a Samsung 55-inch 4K TV. I have a small surround sound system that goes with it. So let's take a look at what we've got here. I want to take a look at this first. This is an IO-Gear Avior, which is an 8-port HDMI switch. So that is allowing me to plug in most of these systems that support HDMI into that switch, and it's an automatic switcher. So if you have one console turned on and you turn on another console, it will automatically switch to that newer console. Now this other piece of equipment back here, this is a SCART switch, and SCART is a European standard for video. So it uses a special cable, and this also has the automatic switching. So if you have one console turned on and you turn on one of the other consoles that you have, it automatically switches again to that newer console. And here we have something called the Framemeister. It's kind of a silly name, but it actually does a really good job. Kind of expensive too, but the unit itself is it's a compact upscaler unit. And what that does is it takes the information from the SCART cable and it upscales to output an HDMI signal. So let's take a look at some of the consoles we have here. First up, one of my favorite consoles of all time, the Sega CDX. Now, the Sega CDX is a combination of a Sega Genesis and a Sega CD in one machine. You can play the Sega CD stuff on it, you can play the Sega Genesis stuff on it. I have the Sega CDX connected with the SCART cable into the Framemeister and then straight into the Samsung, and the colors are crystal. It's great to see a 20-plus-year-old system just perform that way. I bought this machine in 1994 when it was released, and it's just a great little system. It's awesome. One of my favorite Sega CD games, let's go with Earthworm Jim. Oh, and the Terminator. Next up, we've got another Sega console, the Sega Dreamcast. The Sega Dreamcast is another great system that I love. The library for this machine is relatively small. It's only a couple hundred games, but there's a lot of great quality games in that collection. For the Sega Dreamcast, I'm also using the SCART cable into the Framemeister, upscale to HDMI, and this is another console that just looks, for the age that this system is, it's still a rock solid system. One of my favorites for this console, of course, Soul Calibur. Next up, we've got the PS4 Pro, and this is the newer model, the one that came out with the Red Dead Redemption 2 bundle. And it's much quieter than the original PS4 Pro, which I like. I like that. You'll also see here that I have an external hard drive. This is a Seagate external drive. It's a 4 terabyte drive. And if you combine that with the PlayStation Pro internal 1 terabyte drive, you have a total of 5 terabytes of storage for your PlayStation 4. And that's phenomenal. You can pretty much put as many games on as you want. One of my favorite games on PS4 has to be Horizon Zero Dawn. Love that game. Running around, shooting Dinobots with arrows, it's great. Next up, we've got the Xbox Tower, an Xbox One X, and also an Xbox 360. And you'll notice here that I ended up stacking them on top of each other, because the exhaust for the Xbox One X goes out the side and out the back, not off the top. And the Xbox 360 vents also out the side and out of the top. So all that heat is being pushed away from both of those consoles. So, and I've had it set up like that for like 6 months. I haven't had any issues with it. You'll also notice that I do have an external hard drive, and that's for the Xbox One X. And as I mentioned with the PS4 Pro, the Xbox One X also has the internal 1 terabyte hard drive. And combine it with the external hard drive, it's a 4 terabyte external hard drive. You combine those together and you've got 5 terabytes of storage. That just floors me. One of my favorite games on the Xbox 360, Enslaved: Odyssey to the West. One of my favorite games on the Xbox One X has to be, without a doubt, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. You got it. Next up, we've got the mighty PlayStation 3. And this is an original one, full backwards compatibility. It plays PS1, PS2, PS3 games, no problems at all. This thing has been kicking since 2006, and it is still alive. One of my favorite games on the PlayStation 3, that's easy. That would be Tekken 1 through 6, all completely playable on the PlayStation 3. Yeah! Now, what kind of a gamer would I be if I didn't have at least one Nintendo console? The GameCube. I loved the GameCube when it came out. And I'm actually using something called an Eon in the back of the machine. If you have a GameCube, and if you have 2 ports on the back of that GameCube, you can use this device called an Eon. And you just plug that in, it upconverts the signal from the GameCube to HDMI, and there you go. You have GameCube in HD. One of my favorite games for the Nintendo GameCube has to be Star Wars Rogue Leader. Yes! And last, but certainly not least, we have yet another Sega product, the Sega Saturn. This thing is a tank. One of my favorite games for the Sega Saturn has to be Nights into Dreams. People said that the Sega Saturn was a better 2D machine than a 3D machine. I don't think so. I think Nights into Dreams proves that the Sega Saturn can do 3D with no problem. Let's not forget about our PC gamers. Now, we're upstairs. The BitPhoenix case over here is my primary gaming computer. The smaller Corsair case next to it is my video capture, file storage, and everything else that I need to store. I'm not sure why the keyboard looks purple, because it's actually blue, but for some reason it's showing up as purple in the camera. And the other monitor in the background is what I use for video capture. I can just hook up my PC to that and I can play the game. I can also watch what's going on the second monitor. If I need to capture any console footage, I'll just bring the Corsair computer downstairs, hook it up, and just capture whatever I need. Easy stuff. So there you have it. I hope this helps you with your gaming setup. If you like what I'm doing here, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, share this video with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, click the notification bell to be notified whenever I post a new video. I want to thank everybody for joining in today, and I'll see you in the next video.